Are we blue over the shows we saw?
Keene Company is presenting Pearl Clegg's Blues for an Alabama Sky, directed by La Williams. We're in Harlem in the hot summer of 1930, and showgirl, what's her name, Angel, and her friend, gay designer Guy, have just lost their jobs, and of course it's the Depression. Guy dreams of going to Paris to work for Josephine Baker, who actually is a friend of theirs.
And he's always sending her all these designs on spec, and she's always kind of stringing him along. And that's his big giant dream, to rescue Angel and him, to go to Paris and take Angel with him. But you know, she just thinks it's a dream, it's never going to happen. She's like this very hard, bitter realist.
And she's developing a new dream based on this tall, handsome stranger from down south.
Alabama.
Right. Who actually doesn't quite fit in with her social group. He's very, very, very fundamentalist religious, and she definitely is not.
And a bit of a mama's boy.
Across the hall is social worker Delia, who is hoping to open with Margaret Sanger, a birth control clinic, and she might be helped very much by a doctor who delivers every baby in Harlem, but
and
also
and he always says, let the good times roll. He's a good time Charlie.
Right, but he also seems to be interested in both Delia's project and Delia. And it's amazing, with only these 5 characters, I felt like I was immersed totally in the community of Harlem, that I got to know everything going on. Because we hear about Adam Clayton Powell's speeches, we hear about Langston Hughes' parties, we hear about all these things. It's such a rich, wonderful play.
Oh my God, we are in such agreement on this,
which is rare.
Yeah, I mean that we are absolutely raving about this play. And Angel, played by Alfie Fuller, she's an incredible actress, because I saw her in another play and she was a totally different. She's like the Carmen anti-heroine, where the way she just uses and manipulates people, and there's just something sort of despicable about her, and yet you don't know
very attractive,
but you don't know whether you feel sorry for her or you just want to scratch your eyes out. It's very your feelings are as complicated towards her as
But you're fascinated by her.
And Guy, John Andrew Morrison, is just like, you just adore him. He's just got such flair, and you want him to succeed so badly. And Sam the doctor is really sweet and adorable, and Delia. Anyway,
don't miss this.
Don't miss this. It's wonderful. Carrie Gitter's The Sabbath Girl is a sweet romantic comedy about 2 unlikely individuals. Angie is this Italian Catholic with this interfering Nona who just wants her to go out and have fun and enjoy life and be as colorful and extravagant as she is. And then there's Seth, who is a modern Orthodox Jewish fellow who lives next door to Angie, and they meet when he knocks on her door for him to be his Shabbos goy, because it's hot. He forgot to turn the air conditioner on. It's Shabbos. He can't do it until he's not allowed to turn electricity on. So she grudgingly, says she will, but right now she's in the midst of trying to woo this hot new artist to join her art gallery. And ooh, is he sexy, and his name is Blake, and she kind of falls for him. And Angie is just getting over some ex-boyfriend who lied and cheated on her. And yet there's this wonderful Seth, who's a sweet, kind mensch, who runs a knish shop with his sister Rachel that he inherited from his dad. And Rachel wants to set him up with a nice Jewish girl, because he just got set up with a nice Jewish girl and he married her and it was a disastrous marriage. So he does not want to be set up again. He's not even interested in anything Jewish at this point, as far as romance goes. And he's falling for Angie. And so the thing is, which, if any, will Angie choose? The hot young artist or this sweet Orthodox Jewish guy? Will Rachel accept her brother's interest in a non-Jewish woman? Can people from 2 different religions find common ground? This is the play I have been waiting for. A play about nice, religious Jewish people. The guy's such a mensch. I finally feel represented. And I have never loved a play so much in my life. And it's a sweet, romantic kind of play like Crossing Delancey Street that I just love so much. So I cannot recommend this enough. This is like going to be my favorite play probably for the decade because finally.
At the Mint, they're presenting 2 short plays under the heading of Chekhov Tolstoy love stories. They're adapted for the stage by Miles Mallison. And the first one is a very short Chekhov play called The Artist, based on an artist's story, in which a famous landscape artist is in the country side painting. And there's a very young woman who's girl who's becoming a woman, who's finally becoming interested in thought and talking to the artist, and maybe something could develop between them. But her older sister, who's a very political, serious type, doesn't seem to go for this.
Yeah, she's one of those hard-working Chekhovian characters, you know, like work, work, work. Everything is work.
But less sympathetic than most.
Yeah.
And Michael, which is adapted from Tolstoy's What Men Live By, seems to me to be like a parable. A shoemaker brings back, instead of the sheep coat that he's supposed to get, this apparently homeless man who at first the shoemaker's wife is dead set against helping, but then she soon feels pity, and the man lives with them, becomes a wonderful apprentice, and other things happen. And it seems to me to be about loving and caring for people, and, you know, what the true meaning of what men should live for.
Yes, and
but I found it boring.
And you have the whole...
and unconvincing.
Yeah, and when you have the whole class situation, you know, with the rich, you know,
Yes.
demanding that you do these shoes immediately and just like this, blah, 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 and the poor shoemakers, and they want to succeed. But here's the thing. This was like a fairy tale. And you know me, I love fairy tales. And he hates fairy tales.
I like fairy tales.
Oh, please. You don't like
I like Snow White.
You don't like... Yeah, because it's an evil apple...
Fairy tales always have very dangerous elements.
Right, but
This didn't.
Yeah, but this is like this is like a Russian fairy tale, which I'm very familiar with. So I mean, Michael I love. The artist was just sort of like, and I love Chekhov, but this was so There was just not. It wasn't the usual Chekhov funny, but with like a punching, sad sorrow underneath it. It was just like, you know, mundane.
Yeah, neither of these plays represent the artist at their best, and also this production doesn't represent the Mint at its best.
Yeah.
So
I've never given Mint a mixed review.
Yeah.
Really. Well, you do sometimes, but I never do.
Well, usually
and
if it's mixed plus, because they're always so sterling production.
But mine is only unhappy for the artist, but it's very happy for Michael. I loved Michael. I thought Michael was fantastic.
I thought the artist was better, but neither one was really good.
So we're still batting 1,000 in our disagreements.
See Alabama Sky. Blues
Yes,
for an
yes,
Alabama
we
Sky.
love that. And Sabbath Girl. At Tada, How to Eat Like a Child, with a book by Delia Ephron, John Forster, and Judith Kahan, and the music and lyrics by John Forster, that is based on Delia Ephron's book, is one of the most delightful productions yet at Tada. And that is saying a lot, as Tada never disappoints. With several lessons, we are told the difference between adult and child way of thinking, from the titular how to eat certain foods to saying no. This was hilarious from both points of view. The mechanisms a kid will go through to get out of a test by pretending to be sick, and how to drive the parents mad to get a dog. The excitement of birthdays, torturing your sister, and endlessly waiting to be picked up are all fair game. Not only were the kids marvelous as always, but the set was beyond fanciful by Joel Sherry, with giant burgers, hanging spaghetti, cherry pie slide, and a particularly large, delicious-looking purple donut. Like the kids that humorously complain of boredom in the show, you can take your own bored kids to this engagingly wonderful show. I haven't seen such great comic timing since laughing in SNL when it was good. Unlike their grown-up counterparts, they don't need mics, but have clear projection and some pretty cool moves from Joanna Greer. Direction by Janina Nina Travins kept the show spinning on many yummy plates. And I am giving this one back to Happy Face. We're going to talk about Lucy Barton. We think we talked about it before, but we're not sure. It's closing tonight, February 29th, so Bina, go for it.
Yeah, this play is based on a novel written by Elizabeth Strout and adapted by Rona Munro and directed by Richard Eyre. Actually, it's coming from London.
And with Laura Linney.
With Laura Linney, she's a one-person show, one-woman show. So the play is like a memory play because she's reciting a memory when she was in a hospital, when she was sick, but we do not know what the sickness was. But
and
she
we
was
never
there
find out.
she was there for 9 weeks, and and then she remembers that she had very bad relationship with his mother, and her farm life in Illinois
or Iowa
or somewhere,
one of those I states.
Yeah, and she gave me the feeling that she hated her mother, but then she's talking about her a lot and all that stuff, and then mother shows up in the hospital actually. So I said to myself, she's a nice person.
Well, the thing is, when she talked about her mother and used her mother's voice and everything, that the play picked up, but this was so bloody boring. And I don't care about these people, and they were so illogical. It's like, yeah, you have a horrible mother, she did terrible things to you, and yet you seem to be glad she's there, and you're sad when she leaves, and then she's got this sort of nebulous relationship with her husband.
Yeah, she hardly ever met, she mentioned the husband, she has 2 kids also, but there was no relationship developed with her life, just talked more about the mother. Mother not only came to the hospital, she also came to the hospital room, she also went for the diagnosis. They were going to have another test for her, very important test. And why is so important that she came? Because mother never really left her house. They said she can't even take a taxi, she can't even hail a cab. She cannot do anything. She still came. I thought she loved the daughter. It's the daughter who never loved her. But she never loved her, and she spent an hour talking about her. It was like...
You know what? If you didn't get to see it, there's no regret. And everyone I talked to, they love the story. They love the novel. So I think this is obviously a better read than it is. It's not dramatic. It's not good to see on stage. I didn't like it.
It's just, I like to care for the characters, and I just did not care. I did not care. So... sorry.
Nitozaki Shange's A Photograph, Lovers in Motion, is about toxic relationships. Sean David is a photographer who has managed to snare Michael, a dancer, Claire, his model, and Nevada, his rich patron. They all love him so much that they allow him to rule their lives and let him treat them like garbage. This is supposed to take place in the 70s and 80s when women were being liberated, but I guess these 3 didn't get the memo. While the acting was very good, it is hard to enjoy a play when the main character is such a horrible individual. I just couldn't get past why these smart women were so dumb about this loathsome guy. Kick him to the curb, says I. To be honest, at 2.5 hours, I couldn't stay for the second act as I had made plans with out-of-town guests. But luckily, Bina Sharif was there with me, and she will now continue with the rest of the review. By the way, the first act seemed like a complete enough play to me. The characters made their intentions known, and there was really nowhere to go from there.
You see, these women were very beautiful, very talented, and had great bodies, and they looked very nice. And this guy, who I think is a bruised, damaged person in his childhood, and they all like feeling, they're not only feeling sorry for him, they should be feeling sorry for themselves, because they really are enamored by this man. They're just like crying over him, and especially the leading lady, Michael, who seems very independent for me, and nice looking, very talented, and she just keeps staying with him. He tells her, I have many other women, and I'm going to keep them all, and she still stays, and she's trying to help him recover from his childhood, because his father owned a monkey as a pet, and he loved the monkey more than him, so the guy has never recovered.
So it's okay for him to monkey around.
But the second act, when Eva left, was one of the best scenes in the whole play. It was like the biggest fight between these 3 women. They fought, like they were like, we're going to kill them. I laughed and laughed.
Well, anyway.
That's the only thing I enjoyed, so that's why I kind of give the mixed face, you know, for this in my review as well.
I'm happy for the play. I will happy for the actresses. Yeah, Michael was a good actress,
Yeah.
but
Company is presenting two classic horror stories in repertoire. The good one is Dracula, the bad one is Frankenstein. We'll start with Dracula. It's written by Kate Hamill, based on the novel by Bram Stoker, and directed by Sarna Lapine. It's, you know, the classic story about the vampire who wants to move to England and in search of fresh blood. And about Jonathan Harker, who is doing business with him and has a pregnant wife who's visiting a friend who gets involved with the monster. This was an exciting production. I had trouble with its very feminist agenda and with, to me, what was a confusing time frame, because the dresses seemed to be like from 20s or 30s, and there was mention of lobotomy at the insane asylum, and that didn't happen until the 20s or 30s. But still, women were completely under the thumb of their husbands and could be committed on a whim, and that was more of like mid-19th century.
Well,
but I thought the performers and everything about this production was pretty exciting.
I think it was very fluidly done. Like, I love the costumes, very airy and beautiful, and like the stage was kind of empty with except one chair and all. And it became more like a comedy in a way, feminist taking revenge comedy, you know. And that I just like. I'm so tired of this, like, feminists now coming in and taking revenge all the time.
Yeah,
they should
Dr.
take revenge. It's, you know, from the classic stories, they're changing a lot of things, and I somehow or other like the way the classic stories originally were.
oh,
But
see, now here I disagree with you on this completely. Plus, I thought of something funny. You know, like how there's 100% virgin olive oil. This is he wanted 100% virgin
Love.
blood.
Yeah, I didn't want the pregnant.
But I love the fact that the women in this play were badasses. I mean, Van Helsing
Yes, that was the
played by
major
Jessica
change.
Frances Dukes, and she was like Indiana Jones. I loved her.
Cowboy.
Right,
Yeah,
instead of a vampire cowboy like Keaton Wynn, she was a cowboy vampire hunter.
Yeah,
But-
and Mina Harker, who plays the pregnant wife, Kelly Curran. You know, it's like, yeah, just because you're pregnant doesn't mean, you know, you're stuck in doing nothing. I mean, that the fact that a pregnant woman could be badass,
Well, but-
I love that.
No, but it's- since
Mina,
this is a-
but Mina's always the one who's able to defeat Dracula, so it's not like the original story
Yeah, but
didn't
she's
have any
never pregnant
feminist-
in the story.
That's
the
true.
Original pregnancy. But the problem, not the problem, the whole idea by Kate Hamill writing this, she wrote a feminist revenge tragedy. So these two ladies going to take the revenge.
Yeah.
And they were very good.
And Renfield was a female too in this.
Yeah,
instead.
she was meant to. See, I liked her. I liked her acting
yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
I liked her.
I
mean,
liked
so
her,
I
yeah.
thought it was. I loved this.
I had fun. I had fun with this play. I really liked it because I've seen it after Frankenstein, and Frankenstein.
Yes, Frankenstein was really bad.
Which we'll talk about later. But this one, I'm giving a full happy face. And I
Yeah,
haven't given
happy
Classic
face.
Stage Company a happy face in a while.
For me, it's happy face
For me,
minus,
too.
but it was still pretty good.
It's a happy face for me.
Frankenstein is written by Tristan Bernays from the novel by Mary Shelley, directed by Timothy Douglas. And it's also a bare bones production, but this one, we only have two characters. Stephanie Barry plays both the creature and later the voice of Frankenstein. And Bob Morrison is the chorus, but he's mostly like a really talented musician. And it just becomes extremely boring
And tedious.
to have this story
for the first-
kind of told to you. And I mean, I'm sure Stephanie Barry's a really good actress, but I was never engaged in any of it.
You know, in the first few like minutes, or maybe a couple of 10 minutes or something, she's born, creature is born and can walk and does lots of movements and very difficult and all that stuff. And then she asked an audience member about this book, say Frankenstein. So right after that, absolutely in a very short time, she knows everything. The creature has become a scholar and intellectual. You know, that was very fast for me. But I did like the actress because I thought Stephanie Barry was very wonderful. But the play, just
Yeah.
didn't do much for me.
It does not work as a one-person thing. And the musician tuned up every single instrument on there for like a half an hour. And I'm like,
Yeah.
is this a metaphor for
Yeah,
something? Because if
exactly.
it is, I have no clue what that was.
Yeah, I do not know. The guitar started the first thing, you know, the guy with the guitar.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who he is, what is going on. With his guitar not working, it became like a bad performance art, you know, in a place where their instruments
and
don't
again,
work.
a lot of the excitement in Frankenstein is normally about the whole creation of the monster and the harnessing of electricity and the sewing together of the corpses.
And also the
all of that
chasing.
is left out.
Yeah.
So this was a disappointing monster.
Yeah, I like the actress, but that's why. it
Unhappy
looks-
for me.
Me too. Jan Ewing and I went to the immersive Ashley Adelman's Nellie and the Women of Blackwell, which takes place in 1887 when intrepid reporter Nellie Bly, trying to get a job, went to the world and said, I'm going to write a play about this new mental institution that just opened up, Blackwell, on Roosevelt Island, where the women are tossed in for whatever. You know, they displease their husband, they eat too much, they're sad about kumquats. I mean, for the stupidest reason, they get committed, and their treatment was deplorable. So she wrote this thing called 10 Days in an Insane Asylum. So we, the audience, become her, like, we go along with her, where we help her with this story, and we put on hospital gowns, and we're drawn into it, and we're given like dried toast and cockroaches to eat. You don't have to eat them, but to show you the horrible treatment of women. And this one Tilly, who was like Ashley Adelman, my name, by the way, was Emma Riches. You see her as this cheerful, bright, intelligent person reduced to drivel by the end, and it was just so heartbreaking. I actually was like crying. I was so moved by it. You really get involved with it. I mean, Janet thought it was the most brilliant thing he ever saw. He wrote a 12-page review on the Facebook page, and I completely agree with him. This is a very special, brilliantly done immersive thing about a really important historical event, and I strongly recommend you go to see this. And 4 actresses played such a multiple parts, you didn't know that there was only 4 people involved.
Primary Stages at the Cherry Lane is presenting The Confession of Lily Dare, written and starring Charles Busch, directed by Carl Andres. And Lily Dare is a character who goes from being innocent at a convent school to being taken care of by her aunt, who's a bordello keeper, to surviving the earthquake, to all sorts of vicissitudes, including losing a daughter who's raised by someone else and becoming a bordello keeper herself.
And she has some sidekicks, Nancy Anderson, a hooker who loves to get married, and a gay piano player, Christopher Borg, and, who's the gay piano? Go on.
Yeah, and especially Jennifer Van Dyke, who plays
Kendall
a million female roles,
And
nails
Christopher plays
each
a bunch
one of
of
them.
male roles. And Howard McGillen plays a bad
The
guy.
evil snake, the
who-
fallen aristocrat.
Yes, who likes to manipulate people, and he's sort of very Trumpian. Anyway, it had all these Charles Busch zingers in it. It's like every 30s movie. It's even got tearjerker moments in it that made me cry, and I just loved it.
Yeah, I didn't love it quite as much. It didn't completely hold together for me, but I love the supporting cast. So I give it mixed plus.
Can't be with the heart. Matthew Lopez's The Inheritance is closing way too soon. It's closing March 15th, so we want to quickly let you know this is brilliant.
Well, it's certainly the most hyped play of the season, and it concerns the passing of property and spiritual knowledge through generations of gay men in post-Stonewall America. It's very ambitious, and a lot of it is really quite good.
And it's based on Howard's End. It's like, the similarities are really how they put them together. It's really quite clever.
Okay, I've never read Howard's End, so I mean, you're constantly referred to the book, and E.M. Foster's a character in the play, so you know, like, you're made aware of it even if you don't know the book very well.
Oh yeah, and when I saw it, I didn't know anything about Howard's End, but then PBS coincidentally did Howard's End, and I'm like, I was watching and thinking of The Inheritance the entire time. ran out of time, so you'll have to find the reviews on our Facebook page. Jan Ewing actually gives Look Back in Anger a bad review, so you got to go to Facebook page because you'll never see that again. And more on Grand Horizons, which closes March 1st, and Paradise Lost, which closes March 1st, and Miss America's Ugly Daughter and Best Myers and Me. All you can find the whole reviews on the Facebook page. And Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ivanovich closes March 12th, and we're seeing it March 8th, so our review will be on the Facebook page. And our next show is March 14th, so go see Sondheim on Sondheim. I'm seeing it February 27th, review on the Facebook page. Theater 2020 always does such an incredible job. And more on The Inheritance on our next show. The first act closing is just, the first part closing is just genius and brilliant and devastating, and it's just incredible. Ceylon Sanctuary is always brilliant. And check out the Frigid Festival. There's all these incredible plays going on. The ones in purple are the plays I'm actually going to go to. So look for those reviews on our Facebook page. And go to this website to go see a lot of Frigid shows. We don't have Fringe anymore, but we got Frigid. And my alma mater, Ithaca College, is going to be at 54 Below March 7th, and lots of Scott Siegel events are going on there too, and Alice Ripley's going to be there, and Muppet music, and more Jerry Herman music, and Penny Arcade is at Panagea, Karen Akers is at the Beach. J2 Spotlight Musicals is putting on old musicals, so No Strings, I'm going February 29th, Class Act, I'm going March 14th. And New York has got Chat with Musicals and Mufti and Sheldon Harnick with Liz Calloway and Karen Ziemba. And Unmasked closes on March 1st. And I have the whole press conference and music and everything on Eva Heinemann YouTube page. Cherry Lane, The Making of How to Save the World is Sean Randall with Stephen Boyer. Fourteenth Y has these Her Stories, which is really good, and Mr. Toole is really good, and I'll talk more on the Facebook page. Again, I'm running out of time completely. Her Story has Mary Beth McLuhan, Mona Lisa, and Jane Austen, and it should be really, really good. And I'm looking forward to it. And there's a lot of closed shows on the Facebook page that you can read already. Get your Performer Arts Insider, next show March 14th. Go to the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.